Well, hi everybody. I'm here at the Children's Museum so we can talk a little bit about density. Density is a really important property of matter that you're going to work with when you come here for your curious scientific investigation. Density is the relationship of an object's mass to its volume. So let's talk about those first. Mass is just how much stuff there is inside a thing. So this weight here is a 3-pound weight. That means there's 3 pounds of mass in this weight. This is a 2-pound weight, so there's 2 pounds of mass in this weight. Volume's a little different. It's how much space something takes up. This flask here full of water that I colored green so you can see it a little better is a 500 milliliter flask. Milliliters is one of the ways that we measure volume. So there are 500 milliliters by volume of green water in this flask. Density is the relationship of something's mass to its volume, basically how much mass we can cram into a specific volume. The more stuff you have inside that volume, the higher the density. So the 500 milliliters of water inside this flask is more dense than the 500 milliliters of air that's inside this flask, because air takes up more space than water. So 500 milliliters of air doesn't weigh quite as much and it's less dense. Now this science tool right here is called a hydrometer and it measures density. Let's give it a try. Let's see how it works. We're going to pour some of our water here into the hydrometer. Okay, there we go. That arrow right there is what you use to measure the density. And there are numbers on both sides of the hydrometer here. There's a line here, and on one side we have the numbers that measure density. So as we can see, water that's mostly pure, with a little bit of food coloring in it, has a density of 1.000. The numbers here on the outside are important too. They measure salinity, how much salt there is dissolved in the water. So if you look down here, there's no salt in our water, and so we have a salinity of 0. Alright, now let's try mixing some salt into our water and seeing what changes when we pour it back into the hydrometer. Now as I am working on this, I want you guys to come up with a hypothesis, a scientific guess for what you think is going to change when I put some salt into the water. Okay, get it mixed up a little bit. Now I'm going to pour it back into the hydrometer. Let's see if your hypothesis was correct. No. Now that's a little bit different. Look, the arrow went all the way up. The salinity up here is maxed out on this side of the hydrometer because we just mixed a bunch of salt into the water. But the density went up too. So now we know that salinity is related to density, because when you mix salt in with the water, you're putting more stuff into the same amount of space, more mass into the same volume. When you come to the museum for your curious scientific investigation, you're going to be using hydrometers like this one to measure the density and the salinity of our samples of mystery water. Now, since we know the salinity and the density of water from all around the world, what you're going to do is take your own measurements and then compare it to the information we already have. Hopefully by doing that, you'll be able to solve the mystery.